This verse is in the 7th chapter. It is the verse, Devahi Esha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya Mam Eviye Prapadyante Mayam Ip Etam Tarantite. This divine energy of mine, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome. But those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. So the Maya, the three modes of material nature, generally we say, the Maya, that nasty thing, Maya. This will give me a chance to mention this thing too. Sometimes in spiritual life, the position of women it seems to be denigrated. Is that the word? Denigrated means given some less importance. And sometimes even rude things have been said about women as the co-partner to the men in this world. One day when this topic arose in front of Śrīla Mahārāja, he said, there is nothing wrong with the women. There is only our tendency to exploit them. That is the problem. So, Maya is Krishna's divine energy. So how does it become all nasty and all undesirable when we try to exploit that energy? Then it arrests us. We are arrested by that material energy. Otherwise, Krishna himself is Daiva, my divine energy, which consists of the modes of material nature. So, from Krishna's position, there is no Maya. It is one of his many energies. It is all under his control. There is no Maya for Krishna. Everything is spiritual for Krishna. He's fully spiritual, and everything is fully spiritual for him. It means there is no Maya for him. Although in this external energy, he does not take any pleasure. But sometimes it's said he does. He takes a certain kind of pleasure in material nature. What is that? He comes here to kill the demons, like Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha, and so forth. Kamsa and many demons. So in that way, Krishna he's enjoying the fighting and killing of the demons in the material nature. But ultimately, there is no bad for Krishna. The supreme good, the all good, means no Maya for him. All good. So the Maya is there when we want to exploit the material resources. Then we are captured by that. So in that particular thing between men and women, men have a tendency to want to exploit women. And women have the weakness to be exploited. And therefore, because of that, then all the rules and regulations of separatism, living, different rules of associating, all these things, all those come in to practice to protect both parties, to protect the women from being exploited and to protect the men from being involved in criminal activity. Exploitation is punishable under the law of material nature. How did Prabhupada used to say like that? He used to say, one should remember, all the women belong to Krishna. He's speaking about this point. In the men is this point to exploit the women. So the men should remember, all the ladies, they belong to Krishna. He is the husband of all the women in creation, you see. He's the husband actually of all living entities. So that means we have to change our habit of exploiting this material nature. When we do, Krishna says, then very easily we cross beyond it. Well, what means beyond it? Well, in that Maya, when there's exploitation, there is birth, death, old age, and disease. These four things sum up the totality of the material world. Then you can spread them out a little bit, and then many things will come in between. So an explanation of this world will come in between. For example, there are said to be Bhur, Bhuva, Swa, three locations in the universe only, 3 divisions. Then that 3 is divided into 14, and the 14 is further divided, and it becomes very, very complex, very divided. But in summary, 3. The whole thing summed up in these 4 things: birth, death, old age, and disease. Another summary was given: Dukkalayama Shashvatam. From Brahmaloka There's one verse in Bhagavad-gītā, from Brahmaloka means at the top. From Brahmaloka, when someone looks up, what do they see? Do you know what they see? They see the Vaikuntha planets. That is their heaven. That is their stars, so to speak. In Brahmaloka, when people look up, they see Vaikuntha. This is explained in 5th canto of Bhagavatam. When we look up, we see what's called Antariksha. Brahmaloka is way beyond the Antariksha. Antariksha means there's an umbrella of planets and stars and luminaries just floating in what we call space. Brahmaloka is higher than the highest point in the Antariksha. From there, if they look up, we're down from there. If they look up, they see Vaikuntha. It is described there as just a little piece of Vaikuntha to each universe, and that may be seen from Brahmaloka. But from that Brahmaloka, where life can be up to the duration of the universe, which is, you don't want to know how long this universe has been here and how long it's still going to be here. It's a long time. But to help us, it's said to be 100 years. Brahma lives 100 years. Well, one of his seconds, a part of his second, before he can snap a finger, that's 1 year on the earth. So his full breathing in and out, which takes about 3 seconds, that's probably around 6 years on the earth. Time, relativity of time. But anyway, from there way up to way down in the bottom called Patala, the dark region where the sun never shines. If you think it's gray days in Vermont, that's nothing. Patala, it never shines. It never goes there once in tens of millions of years. From the highest place in the lower, Dukkalayama Shashvatam. Dukkha means misery and Ashashvata means temporary. So in that verse in Bhagavad-gītā, Krishna sums up the material world in 2 words. Temporary and miserable. That's the sum and total. And in a more humorous way, Mahaprabhu summed it up as a hole where the living entity goes to pass stool. That was his, of all the grandeur, all the wealth, all the opulence, all the gold, all the beauty, all the sunrises, sunsets, and snowfalls, and mountains, and peaks, and everything, Mahaprabhu said, it is a hole where living entities go to pass stool. So that's not a very valued summary. We find so many things of interest in this world. That is our problem. We have to come to the point of being more interested in Krishna. Then, the wonder and beauty of that superior world gradually reveals itself within our heart. 2 things happen. One is a disinterest in this world and an interest in that other world. Simon, now we're mostly interested in this world. That is a problem in material life. How to get out of that deep interest in the field of exploitation, the field of material enjoyment. So that is a process of devotion under sadhana, regulation, and you beginning to use and dedicate everything to Krishna. So that means surrender, saranagati. One who surrenders to Krishna, then he is released from the clutches of material nature, of the 3 modes of material nature. Now, under the modes of material nature, you get everything. Thoughts, bodily activities. Just like, do you make your stomach growl? Nope. When it's ready to growl, it growls. Do you make yourself answer the call of nature? Have you ever been to a hospital and you're required to, have a urinary test or something, and then you just, I just can't. People sitting there in the waiting room for 45 minutes, a half hour, you see. You cannot command the call of nature. I have to answer the call of nature. Stop the car. All these things. The material world is an embarrassing place. We're not in control here. You're not in control of your appetite, that when you want to feel hungry, you'll feel hungry. When you want to feel satisfied, you're not in control of anything. Are you in control of the rate of your hair grows? Not at all. You see, how much you grow in a year? Are you in control of that? Not at all. What are we in control of? Well, we think we're in control of our mind. We're not in control of our mind any more than we are controlling the flow of blood in our body. It is going on under other dictation. You do not control your thoughts. The thoughts come to you as karma, just like any other karma that comes to you in this life from an aching foot, or wealth, whatever comes, that is karma. Well, that is karma. Whatever comes to your mind, that is also karma. That is also, you are not the mind. And the thoughts will come to us designated from so many things. In this life, in the previous life, so many things. How much we are engaged in exploitation, then we will have so many thoughts to inspire us. How is it possible? We say this world is terrible, it is miserable, it is full of suffering, and people they're just having a great time at Lake George. They're just going all over the place. They got the grins from ear to ear. They're about to pop their dentures out of their mouth. They're grinning so hard. They're out on the boats. They're skydiving, sky sailing, fish looking, whatever, water sliding. They're just enjoying like anything. That's called the inspiration to live in a fool's paradise. They are inspired to live in this world, and they are enjoying like anything. And we look like, you people are so pessimistic. Can't you brighten up your view of life a little bit? You see? Well, first you have to understand what the difficulty is. Then you can brighten up your view of life, and it gets a lot brighter than this dingy-looking world. That's the point. You see, what they are calling gold is no more significant than the sunlight that twinkles off of dew on wet grass in comparison to the sun itself. They are enamored by the dukkhalayama shashvatam, the temporary glitter of Maya. By the devotees understanding, oh, actually, beneath that glitter is so much suffering, but the glitter comes from somewhere. Then we give our attention to the greater world that glitters inconceivably more than that. So actually, we are not pessimists. It appears to be pessimist. Like, if I'm going to hit you, right? Then, and you photograph it, first I'll be seen going like this, right? So I may be even rearing my head back. Then we'll just show that much and go, see, he's running from Gorgopal. No, I'm not running. I'm just getting up the power to punch. So we have to understand the negativity of this world. That aspect, it is suffering, it is all that. We have to draw back a little bit and then get our bearing, and then we push forward. But the materialists, they see us going away. They say, that's not the thing, right? People are always talking about death. Just be alive. You're always saying you could die at any minute. You even say that to the teenagers, It's just like, well, of course, because it happens. You ever read the newspaper? They die every day. Teenagers, children, babies, old people. It's like, understand the life in this world is temporary. And there are so many miseries. But then what? You don't want these miseries. You want what? You want that happiness, right? But then the idea comes that there must be a plane of happiness that is not bothered by all these things. Yes, there is a plane of happiness, the home of the soul. There is a plane of happiness, a plane of enlightenment. No problems, no botheration from anything. That lies beyond this world. If you book up to go on a Caribbean cruise, what do you get between now and August when you sail? You get all kinds of information. You can even get videos on that. You can practically get a taste for the Caribbean. But you're not there yet. You don't go. You have to complete your payments, and you have to actually board the ship. And then you say, wow, it was worth the wait. It was worth every penny. Wonderful. And then you sail into the land of unbelievable beauty and wonder, a Caribbean cruise, Our life is like that. We have a prospect. There will be back to home, back to Godhead. There will be eternal life. There is Krishna. There are so many things. So he also sending a video about that. In other words, to our perception of our senses, mind, and thoughts, he sends also. Yes, it is true. I am there. It will be so wonderful. The thoughts and the awakenment. Krishna says, I am the cause of remembrance and forgetfulness. We forget Krishna, that is his doing. Responding to our exploitation, we're just covered in forget. And by the other hand, it just removes that covering. Then we understand, Krishna is there. So, what is it? So let's read something from the purport, and then if there are any questions. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has his innumerable energies, and all of these energies are divine. Although the living entities are part of his energies and are therefore divine also, due to contact with material energy, their original superior power is covered. So, when I started the talk, didn't I say this? Except I didn't mention the living entity, exactly his position. Didn't I start by saying all Krishna's energies are divine? Do you remember that far back? So probably if we read through, we won't find the same examples, right? But we'll find the same thought, the same philosophical points, and maybe some different examples. Whenever a disciple becomes a preacher, I didn't read this purport. I haven't read this purport in 20 years. No, 20 years? Maybe 20, 25 years. I haven't read this particular purport. But when a disciple is fully under the guidance of his guru, as Prabhupada was under the guidance of his guru, under the guidance of guru means coming under the illuminating energy of Krishna, free from Maya, then the types of thoughts that are beneficial for us, they come. Do you follow what I'm saying? Yes. So, whenever I'm reading or I'm doing something and I'm talking, then I look and I read, oh yes, that is what I also was saying. That is the first thought that came in my mind. You understand? When we started, the first thing I said was, Krishna has many energies, and in a long way I said, they're all divine to him, there is no Maya for him. Srila Prabhupada begins also that there are many energies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and they are all divine to him. So, of course, it's to be expected. I've been practicing staying in the flow for my whole life. So, but even little things like this, for the individual, these things happen as a confirmation of all that is said. What will be the destination at the end of life? What will be the prospect? All these things, little things. Not big things. Like, oh, there goes Krishna, walked by the window. Not that type of thing. People are always searching. There was a talk in Prabhupada's room. This always comes out. There was a noise, and he was talking, and the devotees, and there was nobody in there. And they try to it was Krishna coming to see him. And all that. These are all lower things. Very lower things. Even about the Goswamis in Vrindavan. We heard. Right? You don't read these things in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Very rare when Krishna actually comes and reveals himself to somebody in this world. So rare. It's actually a lower thing. It is actually a lower thing. Because in that is in this book, the Srila Prabhupada writes, the devotee has no desire of his own. And he explains, also Śrīla Maharaja explains, not even the desire to make Krishna the object of his vision. Only desire a devotee has is to serve. That is the only desire. That must be cultivated. Not the desire to see Krishna. I want to see Krishna. Move it aside. Only the desire to serve must be cultivated. Sometimes Krishna does. Madhavinda Puri. Krishna revealed himself to Madhavinda Puri. But when he did, Madhavinda Puri couldn't understand who it was. Krishna actually came, but Madhavinda Puri couldn't understand. It is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He thought, such a charming boy from the village. Nice boy, brought me some milk. A charming boy. Couldn't get him out of his thoughts. As he went away, such a beautiful boy, charming boy, such nice features. Just like, and then trying to drink him, his mind just kept going back to this boy, and as he chanted the name, remembering this boy, and then he slept, and then that same boy appeared in his dreams and revealed himself as Krishna. Later he was saying, I'm so unfortunate, I could not recognize my Lord. But, so, one reason is that type of experience here. It is a lower, like people say, if God exists, show him to me, right? But that's such a lower proof, actually. It is a lower proof. And you see all these people, they walk on fire, and that's the proof that God exists. They dance with snakes, that's the proof that all these things are external. There's so many snake charmers in India, they can dance with snakes. And they might even be atheists. That is actually no proof at all. There is a proof. That proof is called śraddhā. Faith is the only proof of the existence of God, ultimately. It is the one that will enable a person to walk in, even to the tiger's den, so to speak. It is the one that can never be changed. It can never be converted to doubt. When faith is the experience, the inner, faith is the inner experience that confirms beyond all doubt that he exists. You don't have to be shown him. The pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, when faith is there, when śraddhā is there. But thus covered by material energy, one cannot possibly overcome its influence. As previously stated, both the material and spiritual natures, being emanations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they are eternal. The living entities belong to the eternal superior nature of the Supreme Lord. But due to contamination by the inferior nature, matter, their illusion is also eternal. The conditioned soul is therefore called nitya bandha, or eternally conditioned. But no one can trace out history of his becoming conditioned at a certain date in material history. Consequently, his release from the clutches of material nature is very difficult, even though that material nature is an inferior energy, which the living entity cannot overcome. Inferior material nature is defined herein as divine nature due to its divine connection and movement by the divine will. Being conducted by divine will, material nature, although inferior, acts so wonderfully in the construction and destruction of the cosmic manifestation. So one point is that as Krishna is hidden behind the material nature, it stands between us, that same material nature will also reveal Krishna. That is also there for the devotee. Don't see the tree, see Krishna. Don't see the ocean, see Krishna. Don't see the sun, see Krishna. Don't see the sky, see Krishna. But the material, the enjoyer, oh, the beauty. Just like you see a beautiful girl, but then where does that beauty come from? If that beautiful girl is cooking for you, a little bit of her hair of her head gets in your plate, you don't think that's so beauty, do you? So scratch that one off the list. Hair is not beauty. If while talking to you, one of her teeth falls out into the pot, throw that out. Okay. The lip and tooth, that's not beauty. An eyelash falls, well, it's not their beautiful eyebrows, an eyebrow pencil. Where is the beauty? You just go through this body and it boils down to non-beauty. All list of non-beauty. Then what is the beauty? Where's the beauty? Where does the beauty come from? The beauty comes from the soul. Beauty comes from within. What is the soul? That is part and parcel of Krishna. Beauty comes from Krishna. He is beauty personified. We are only attracted to the beauty of anything or anyone because they are reflecting like a small mirror some of the beauty of Krishna. Some of the beauty of Krishna. And then we become enamored by that. But when we're free from enamorment, we may see very beautiful man, very beautiful lady. A very beautiful thing. We will remember the source of that beauty is Krishna. The source of that beauty. Sometimes I like to point to the example of the charm of little children. If a little child walks in this door, I'm talking, so everybody's head. We'll go and look at this child with their mouths open. We could just be talking to anything, and if you walk right through there, everybody would look. If an adult walks through there, no charm. Adults don't have much charm, you see. But children have so much charm. What is the charm in Krishna in his childhood Leela? How much charm is there? That is, we see so much charm in a little toddler, how they can just capture a whole group of adults. Everybody loves a child. And then Krishna, the origin of all these children. He has captured the universe with his childhood pastimes. Even Lord Brahma wondering, who is this boy? what he has done. Charmed even Lord Brahma. Charmed all the residents of Vrindavan. He can do no wrong, he is so charming. He can do no wrong. Even his thief, so charming is his thievery. Everyone is captured by that charm. So what is charm? What is beauty? What is sweetness? All these things come from Krishna. So then we have to adjust ourselves to the world that we are moving behind that relation. It's called living in the relativity of the absolute truth. Adjusting ourselves. Behind everything, the beauty of Krishna is there. The charm of Krishna. The sweetness of Krishna. We see so many inventions taking place. Oh, see Krishna's Maya. Maya Sukhaya. They are so intelligent with their discovery. But they cannot understand that their discovery, it was there. They're not the inventor of that. You know, most of the world's great discoveries are accidents, which proves the point that it just comes from some other place, just for no logical reason. One day it just, I want to try to pour this in it, and he got it. You know, gunpowder, or he didn't even think it; just accidentally stumbled onto a vaccination serum, a medicine. Inventions were the result of an accident. Meaning, there are no accidents. Everything is simply there in time. If you can think about it, good or bad, it's there somewhere in time, somewhere in space, somewhere. It's there. It's happening. Once it was said that many of the stories of the Bhagavatam and such things, they may not be true. And Śrīla Mahārāja, he volunteered the explanation. Oh, actually, it wasn't Bhagavatam. It was Jaiva Dharma. Some people say Jaiva Dharma it's a novel. It's not a real, it's a fiction. So Śrīla Mahārāja, this is in front of Śrīla Bhaktisiddhanta, he took the position that if Bhaktivinoda Ṭhākura has written about it, we may not have seen it happen in this world, but these events are going on somewhere. And he's moving under this divine inspiration. And so those events in far distant places, in disassociated times even, they're being recorded by one person here. They must have their reality, you see. And it's a spiritual book, so it must have its reality in a spiritual plane. And Śrīla Bhaktisiddhanta, he liked very much his appreciation in that way. So, any questions? Hare Krishna. I see about 4 or 5 yawns. I saw some yawns. I know it was a hard weekend for many. Some yawns.
You made the analogy more of the Caribbean vacation, preparing for that and everything else. The same way alluding to preparing for the spiritual world. And materialists might argue, well, the Caribbean exists. It's a reality. I mean, we know it's there. I put my faith in things that are knowable instead of something that may or may not happen.
Well, have you ever bought any of those tours? They can show you plenty in a movie when you go there. What was Hawaii? One of the most down experiences of any place you ever went. Hawaii is painted. Oh, Hawaii! There are more coconuts in Gunjam than there are in all of Hawaii put together. Hawaii is a desert. Volcanic rock on one side, rainforest on the other. It's feast or famine. All the hotels are out on the desert, on volcanic rock. Yeah. And they plant the coconut tree, they put up all these things, and you just drive out of the parking lot, and it's just wasteland desert. And they show you these little things. The hills they roll in. When they go down, there's these little lush little valleys. And when they go up, there's nothing. There was sugar cane, factories everywhere, pineapple processing plants. The water tables are polluted 4 layers down in Hawaii. Pesticide is everywhere. Rats have this poison. If you happen to get it, you become immobile for the rest of your life. There's so many hellish. There's centipedes over there, plenty of them, big ones. There's more cockroaches in Hawaii than there is in New York. So many hellish things are there. There's drugs. There's murder. There's serial murders. There's prostitution. There's mafioso. Yakuza is there. What happened to the beautiful Hawaii? Didn't you see Hawaii 5-0? There's so much crime, burglary, so many things. So it is not that perfect dream that they say. Huh? They give you the reality tours of another type, the unreality tours. They show you the unrealness, all of the very plastic smiles. Mr. Carr, welcome to the Caribbean, you know. And they go, he's not the guy that paid for that. Excuse me, Mr. Carr. Pluck that garland right off your head. Where's that man? And go give it to the other man. All false, all false. Anyway, we'll argue. This argument goes on and on. The materialist, he has his reality. The spiritual has it. But as I said to Jagadishwar the other day, it is amazing. The absolute truth is silent. It's just like you're going through Manchester. It's a perfect place. Huh? There's the graveyards. The living are the living, the dead are the dead. You never hear from the dead. It's just this life is all there is. This is the glitter. The sun keeps coming. The economy is, invincible there. It's just so nice. But when we tried to get a Vermont maple soda, they didn't have one. So I thought, there is nothing in this town for us. Nothing. I thought, at least we'll get it. Jagadishwar said, at least we'll get a soda. We went in the, right there in the heart of, where is it? Dorset.
Yeah.
Nothing. Couldn't even get a maple soda. All false. But it's like there was a guy who was living, and then he died, and the living people just divided up his property, and life was gone. That's it. You never heard another word from him. So, because if that word, that sound was coming, all of a sudden the clouds just opened up and said, "I told you for thousands of years that I live," and shut the clouds back up. People. Then it'd be like two weeks later, it'd be, "Did you hear the alien broadcast?" They would turn God's voice into an alien broadcast. It would go, because there's no faith. You wouldn't believe it if he come and slapped you in the face and said, "Look, I'm right here." You wouldn't believe it. We would not believe it because no faith is there. Faith is not a function of the brain. I figured out how we want to go with that puppet when we get that puppet. We want to go from that Time magazine article, and we want to, and they say that they're saying it's all in the function of the brain. Right? Now we have to explain there. That's a little more sober, puppet show. Faith is not a function of the brain, accepting and rejecting based on. We have to get into that. Faith is not a function of the brain. Faith is much deeper than the brain. It is deeper yet than even the intelligence. It is as deep as consciousness itself, as real as consciousness. Consciousness is the only thing that makes you talk, walk, eat, and buy, and move, and everything. And when it's gone, dead body. Bury it or burn it. But nobody wants to hug it. Huh? One or two people cry on it for a minute, and then it's like, oh well, anyways, take it away. The harvesters come. Saw it up in little pieces and sell them to other people. But so everybody will say, yeah, he's losing consciousness. He's losing consciousness. Well, catch it. Catch it. We don't know what it is. We don't know where it is. Śrīla Prabhupada used to say, if it's the interaction of all these molecules, well, you got one laying right there. Why don't you make all those molecules react again? They don't react. Well, just, rearrange them, find what it is. There's no, dead is dead. Dead is dead. When consciousness is gone. And their life support systems, they keep the consciousness around for a while. They think that they're keeping the thing alive, you see. They're basically locking all the doors, is what they're doing, and creating a problem for the soul, you see. And but they don't know what this consciousness is, but yet they speak of it all the time. He's losing consciousness. Well, that consciousness is what we are. We are the soul. The soul, Atma, means consciousness. And Śraddhā is as deep as our very consciousness. So don't be surprised if you can't, faith just can't be, captured and labeled. Oh, we got a little faith over here. Faith tinctures. No, it's much deeper than that. Much deeper than the brain. The brain is quite fickle. Faith is a substantial thing. Only those who enter in to the culture of consciousness, faith, and surrender, they can know how substantial it is. They can experience it just like a man eating experiences the sensation of becoming full. Not the person watching. How do you know how when your kids are... by repeated watching you can say, but a person just sits down to eat. How do you know when they're going to be full? I heard one day, you told me I ate 20 pieces of toast or something? I don't think so. 10 or something?
It was 12, I think.
12 pieces of toast with some kind of special thing on it or something. Now, normally you think, 2, 3, 4, okay, 5, 12.
It's all going like Levi.
Yeah, you can't just say, how many, and people are always marveling over their children. How many pieces of cake are you going to eat? They're like, just filling the hole. My father used to say that one of your legs is hollow. It just goes down to the leg and fills up. So you can't say about another person's hunger when it is fulfilled, but it is. Emotion, you cannot trace emotion. Emotion is in the brain. They trace certain kind of emotion there, but we feel deeper emotion in our chest. Is where we feel that. We deep within. So that, okay, we got it. Let's trace it down. DNA, get in the heart, get in the lung. It's 1/3 of the lung and 1/3 of the heart, and they combine together, and that's called emotion. Where is it? Is it the 3rd rib, the 5th rib, the collarbone? Where is it? But you feel it deep inside. Emotion. You fall in love. You become angry. Emotion deep inside. In deep emotion, the mind is somewhere else. The person is so deep inside emotion, you talk to them, and you walk in front of them, and they don't see you. And they're looking, and they go, anyway, my mind is somewhere else, because they're deep within emotion. So no one can say emotion doesn't exist, right? But you can't spell it out in a diagram with a human body. You can't locate it anywhere, but it exists. Consciousness, also, you cannot locate it anywhere, but it exists. Faith, you cannot locate it anywhere. Why does one say, faith doesn't exist? It's only in the brain. Faith is just a belief system. No, we say faith. There are such things as belief system, and we interswap the words. I believe, that's my faith. But śraddhā is deeper than just belief. Belief in Sanskrit is another word. You believe something. I forget what that is. But śraddhā is a different word completely. So, then you don't know. You don't know. You don't know the Caribbean's there. You believe it's there because you heard about it. You don't know. You just don't know until you go. And then you know. You know what it really is when you go. So, there is, and what does the Caribbean mean to you? It's beautiful. The weather's always wonderful. They don't show you, here's the lightning storm. Nobody's on deck. We're all down in our rooms because the ship is going. Your head's in the... You're vomiting. It's an unscheduled hurricane hit, In Hawaii, when I lived in Honolulu, that's the place where, you don't get much rain there. And it's there for a reason, Honolulu. They made it there. Waikiki. But sometimes it just comes and it gets like this for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, non-stop. At that time, well, when there are suicides in Hawaii, they frequently line up to that time because some people, especially in the old days when it was people that they would like dream finally, no more Lake George, no more, Mount Washington. We're going to Hawaii. And they blast off to Hawaii, and they get there, and it rains and rains. And the 2 weeks they're on vacation, the sun does, when it rains, it's muggy. It's just nothing happening. And they jump. People get so the bubble is popped. So much internal anticipation of enjoyment. It's like sometimes I experience it, that I'm thinking I'm gonna have rice or something. There's gonna be chapatis, and just right to the point of sitting down, especially in Govindji Gardens. It's like I was just thinking, I'm not hungry. I'm gonna probably some chapatis. And just as I sit down, I go, "Oh, no chapatis today?" And they go, "No, just poppers with a khichdi." And it's just like, the anticipation that you're gonna eat. It's just like, damn. So I take it as Krishna's mercy. We shouldn't be thinking ahead like that. But I'm just using an example. Anticipation, and all of a sudden it's not there. Wow. In relations with people enter into matrimony. They have just so many things, and then somebody cheats, does this and that. It's just like, man, the people fall apart. The anticipation that I'm surrendered to this person. I love this person. This person loves it. They did this. People suicide. They suicide. Then they become so like angry with each other. They sometimes spend a lifetime destroying each other, tearing each other apart in courts, and then on and fighting for the kids, and just, they just make it a bloodbath. And it all starts from one moment of disappointment, anticipation. So the material world is full of those types of things. So it's, they believe in their Caribbean, and we believe in our Vaikuntha, our Goloka. They have what is verifiable evidence, and so do we. Prabhupada used to say, you say there is no God? I say you're wrong. You say I've seen him. So, then why should we believe you that there is no God? I have seen him. He exists. That's the logic, you see. That's the argument, you see. Of course, then always, yes, Prabhupada saw. And of course, one does see. One may see Krishna face to face. But that may not be an experience of these eyeballs and this face either. These eyes are just made of so many liquids, little electrical impulses, little heat waves, all these types of things. So even that experience, it is another thing. It is an experience in the plane of consciousness, seeing with the eye of pure consciousness, not with this. Although it's poetically it's said, one whose eyes are smeared with the salve of love of God, he will see. That's true, you will see through these eyes, but it's a different experience. That's what it was, Dhritarashtra wanted to see Krishna. He was in that court. Dhritarashtra was in the court before the Kurukshetra war, and Krishna revealed his universal form. And there were several times. Bhagavad-gītā, one time before that, he revealed his universal form in the court, in Dhritarashtra's court. Dhritarashtra was blind. So he prayed to Krishna that I've been blind my whole life for this one moment, because he could hear everybody describing the wonder of the Vishvarupa. He said, please give me remove my blindness. For just a moment I can behold this wonderful form of yours. Krishna taught him, said, you don't need eyes to see that. You don't have to have eyes. You can remain blind and still see that. Huh? And then Krishna just revealed it to him. But he was blind. He was blind and he could not see, and he never opened his eyes. He couldn't see. But then he saw the universal form. So, seeing Krishna darshan, is not an experience of the senses made of basically the same thing the end of your finger's made out of. Just a different combination of mucus, bile, and air. That's all. With heat inside, electrical impulses, nerve endings. You got nerve endings here, you got nerve... That's not what experiences Krishna. But within our consciousness, Krishna reveals himself. Then that is seen. But that was the argument. Well, God is dead. Srila Prabhupada say, why do you say that? I have seen him. He's not dead. In fact, he's not even old. What to speak of dead? Not even old. One time I was sitting, and I thought I told you this before, some college boys, Swamiji, you have seen Krishna? And Prabhupada said, do you think we are fools? Do you think all these boys and girls, do you think they are fools? Do you think I am a fool? Well, no, Swamiji, no. Huh? Then do you think so, that he was saying mostly about us, they will come here, live in temple, they will simply chant, but they have not seen Krishna? Do you think all these foreigners, they are so fool, these American boys and girls, they are so fool? No, Swamiji, no. Then the boys were, college boys were kind of backing off there. And Prabhupada said, yes, of course they have seen Krishna. We're all sitting like... He said, of course they have seen Krishna. So everybody unanimously said, well, Prabhupada, you've seen Krishna, but I'm in Maya. I was a young sannyasi then, and Prabhupada was saying, they have seen Krishna. There wasn't one person in that room that didn't think in that moment, like, oh, that's a magnificent, like that. Then Prabhupada told his boys, do you want to see Krishna? Oh yes, why do you want to come? He said, you come tomorrow morning, Mangalarti, 4:30. And we thought, yeah, what, wake up. We're also seeing Krishna, but we don't even want to recognize. Well, I want to see the real Krishna. That is the real Krishna. That Krishna, if you're not satisfied to see that one, then if one of them walked across the floor, wouldn't satisfy you any bit more. Krishna's deity form and Krishna are non-different. Wouldn't impress you any more. Because this God impression is not based on simple miracles. That impresses the mind. That impresses people with no faith to wonder about it all, but it is not holding. It is not holding. It is inferior evidence. Well, anyway, that battle is going on, the atheist and the theist. But what we say is, it's better to be a theist than an atheist. Because that means you're the atheist, let's say. You don't believe in God, right? And I do. So you do whatever the hell you want. You just party hardy, right? You just live your life out. You live your life the way you think it's meant to be. And you just enjoy it. You feel full and you feel satisfied. And there is no God, right? And I go, well, there is a God, and I'm telling you the truth, I feel quite satisfied doing what I'm doing also. I travel all over the world. I got great friends. I eat great food. Blah, blah, blah. I can tell you all about my life too. It's really great too. So, yeah, who cares for you? But then, one day, while we're arguing, a bolt of lightning comes out of the sky and kills us both. So, you didn't believe in God and I did. What if you were wrong? It's like, oops. What if there is a God? You don't believe in God. But what if there is? What if you're wrong? Then it's like, uh-oh. Then all my party hardy, all my things, they might not have been up to the standard. Because a God means an authority that we have to answer to. So then you're in trouble. So at least in argument, an atheist has to agree that his position is the flip of a coin. There might or might not be. And if there is, he's the loser. Now my position, I also, bolt of lightning, I also died there. There is a God. Of course, that's very good for me. I thought there was the whole time. I believed in God. I lived a good life. I'm okay. But what if I was wrong? What if I was wrong? There was no God. Then what did it matter? If there is no God and you thought there was, you're not the loser. If there is no God, there is no nothing. Just like, that's all. It's all over, like a bubble. And it doesn't exist. You don't exist. If there is no God, there is no you. Once we burn you or bury you, you're gone. Finished. It's over. There is no soul, there is no anything. So if the God believer, the theist, is wrong, he doesn't lose anything. He was happy doing what he was doing. He liked praying. He liked offering incense. He liked lighting the lamp. He liked going to the church meetings. He liked going to the bhajans. He liked doing those things. He didn't lose out anything. But if the atheist is wrong, then it might be a sad day in court. Like you hear the radio wrong. Those are the dogs of Yamaraj's men. That was so funny. So we will hear the sound of the wings of Garuda, not the barking dogs of Yamaraj. But that's an argument. We are safer. No loss. No loss. No problem. In the end, there is no God. Hey, no problem. Didn't lose nothing. And if you're wrong, the atheist, if you're wrong, you're in trouble. Now what you going to do? Now what are you going to do? And there is no such thing as an absolute atheist. Because the concept of God exists. Ultimately, there is no such thing as an atheist. It's like saying, I don't believe in the judge. By saying that, you admit there is a judge. And now you're saying you just don't believe in him. Even the language is not proper. There is no such thing as an absolute atheist. It says, I don't believe in God. You acknowledge the concept exists. It is, in philosophy, it is an acknowledgement. It is a concept. It exists. God exists. And you say, I don't believe in him. That may be, but he exists, right? In other words, the negative argument, it's lost from the very beginning. There's such thing in logic and argument. You cannot say God doesn't exist. That's what Śrīla Prabhupada used to say. You cannot say there's a bogus guru. It is not true. There is no such thing. It's just a way we try to express something. Guru means Krishna's representative. That's what it means. There isn't a bogus representative of Krishna. He is or he isn't. It goes like that.